So welcome to the Sustainable Start WiseUp webinar series, the first one of 5. This one is going to serve more or less like an introduction on the Sustainable Start business model canvas methodology, focusing primarily on how might we design a sustainable, just, and regenerative business model. My name is Thomas van der Molen. I'm assisted here by my partner in crime, Elisa Cardoso. Let's start. Just to give an overview, what we work with is 4 systems thinking perspectives applied in a 3-step trigger question design process in order to build a systemic business model canvas for sustainability. So today's agenda, we're going to basically touch on 5 pieces. First of all, what is sustainability? Secondly, what is a business model and what is a sustainable business model? Looking further into what are the 4 systems thinking perspectives that we apply to the business model innovation process, and what is the 3-step sustainable start methodology that we use in order to apply those perspectives to your business model. Finally, finishing with some reflections and questions from your side, hopefully. So my name is Thomas van der Molen. As you can hear, probably from the Netherlands. I'm the founder and creator of Sustainable Start and the Sustainable Start business model methodology. It just in a nutshell give a little bit of my story so far. I studied international business at the University of Applied Sciences in Amsterdam and worked as a manager on Camping Zeeburg for a few years, where I was responsible for introducing and implementing the Green Key certification. In order to further my studies into sustainability, I moved to Sweden, studied at the Blekinge Institute of Technology, master's called Strategic Leadership Towards Sustainability, where I also got to know the natural step framework, scientifically known as the framework for strategic sustainable development, that we'll talk more about later on. During my master's, I also met my wife, Elisa, moved to Brazil and joined Humana, a startup sustainability consultancy in Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo. And around the same time, started Sustainable Start, started hosting a lot of workshops in order to test the methodology and develop it further into what it has become today and what we're going to share with you. Since my return here in the Netherlands about a year ago, I've also joined the Sustainable Growth Associates in Germany, who are the official representative of the Natural Step Foundation based in Germany. So that in a nutshell, my flight towards today. Therefore, also the question to you, who are you? Really curious what brought you here, and looking forward to hear a little bit more about you. So we should have a chat function available in your screen, where I'm hoping to get a few of the answers on what is your name, where do you work, what is your role there, right? What do you do at the place where you work, where are you located, and why are you here? What are you hoping to learn? We have a maximum of about 3 minutes for this. Yes, so if you can't find it, you need to move your mouse down over your screen basically, and then it pops up and it's the little bubble called chat. I see that Ralph already replied. Ralph saying, work in Malmo in Sweden. I studied at BTH with Thomas. It's true. Nice to see you, Ralph. Good that you're here. He works as a web developer at a publishing and printing company called Alier Media, and currently living and working in Malmo. Says he forgot the last question. Why are you here? Thank you, Ralph, to see my beautiful face. What about all the other people? Are you busy typing? Are you anxious getting into the conversation? If so, that's fine. We'll just continue. Just let me know. Are you busy typing, or shall I continue? All right, we're moving forward. Going back to sharing my screen with the slides. The chat will be open and available, and we'll get back to that in a little bit. So just a few practicalities, but most of them have actually already worked out very well. Please have your microphones off, just due to other noise maybe around, unless towards the end you want to ask a question or share a reflection on what we've done. You can use the chat meanwhile, and there should be a function to raise your hand. So please, if you do find it, raise your hand to ask a question. What are the business benefits of sustainability? Borrowing here a source from Future Fit Business Benchmark. First of all, increased value. Second of all, saving costs. Third of all, reducing risks. And basically these benefits have been captured into 21 business case benefits for sustainability. Things such as increasing sales to people who value more responsible products, which is one thing that will drive increased value and increased revenues, right? But on the other hand, also preparing your company to thrive in a circular economy, to make do with less water, to secure the supply of critical resources that you might depend on, to reduce your volatility to changes in prices for fossil fuels if you're still using energy based on those kinds of sources. Obviously, it also leads towards growing your brand equity through showing leadership on the high profile issues that are important in society at this moment, securing in that sense your license to operate within society, and identifying new areas for innovation, which is what we will be focusing on in that sense. So what about the road towards success, right? Many typical companies at this moment, existing companies, will be at a level of pre-compliance or compliance with the legal standards around social, environmental sustainability. It starts becoming interesting when you add a layer of proactivity to this and you want to go beyond compliance into taking measures that you might not necessarily have to do yet in terms of legal mandatory things, but you want to be anticipating on what's going to come. You want to be proactive in that and move towards integrating sustainability really as a part of your strategy. As a final step, we see purpose and passion for sustainability, for making a bigger impact, really being driven as with your primary motivation to make a good impact in the world, rather than just make money out of your business. So this is the piece that we obviously want to focus on, what we want to bring you towards. So when I ask people generally, what is sustainability? The silence comes first, and then secondly, generally, the most accepted definition for sustainable development from the Brundtland Commission in 1987 comes forward, stating that sustainable development is to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And although I completely agree with this definition, it has shown as well that it's not completely practical. It's not something that we can use in order to shape our business, in order to make strategic decisions with, and to actually change the impact that we have. In order to give shape to this agenda, as we nowadays call it, the Global Agenda 2030, right? The follow-up to the MDGs have been called the Sustainable Development Goals. 17 global goals that can also be applied on local level, so global goals in that sense. 169 targets within them. 230 indicators within those targets that you can score your business on, score your country on, score any system that you're looking at, that you're analyzing at, in terms of its performance on the Sustainable Development Goals, and 193 countries that have signed up for this. So that's pretty impressive on the international level. An image that has is shown less in this in this respect is the SDGs placed within a system thinking perspective, because even though there are 17 goals and all of them are interrelated and interdependent, they are not equally equally primary if we look at things from a nested systems perspective. On the bottom end, you see there all the SDGs that relate to nature. On the middle one, all of them that relate to society. In the middle one, all of them that relate to economy. And all throughout the middle, you see number 17 called strategic partnerships in order to achieve the goals. Another very known concept for sustainability, basically a strategy concept, he calls it, is the triple bottom line: people, planet, profit. Now, the so-called founder of the triple bottom line concept, John Elkington, a little while back published an article on the 25th anniversary of this concept, stating that he was doing a recall of his strategy concept. First in the world, he said. The reason for it was that the triple bottom line was supposed to provoke deeper thinking, but many understood it as a balancing act, adopting a trade-off mentality. So what basically happened is that we started thinking that if we can make more profit, then it's okay to have a neutral or even negative effect in many cases on planet and people. Second thing we said, that the proper use of the triple bottom line involves that at a minimum, progress is made on 2 dimensions, with the third one remaining unaffected. If we look at a scientific definition of sustainability that comes from the university where I studied at the Department for Strategic Sustainable Development, they say that sustainability is a state in which the socio-ecological system is not systematically undermined by society. So the systematic part of that is the most crucial word within this sentence. The occasional spill of, say, oil into the ocean is something that nature can handle. The occasional plastic that ends up in the ground or in the air, if it's burned, for example, nature can handle that. The problem is when this happens systematically and continuously, and everything starts building up to points where thresholds are passed, and basically systems start changing and start collapsing due to the rise up of too many, to the rise of concentrations of these substances that don't belong into nature. So this definition comes from this university. I wanted to just add the image because it's a beautiful place with a lot of water around it, beautiful islands. I'm seeing Elisa nod on the other side, so just confirming that it's a beautiful view. I'm sure that Ralph will also agree. The master's is called Strategic Leadership Towards Sustainability. And I did my thesis research there on how the framework for strategic sustainable development related to the lean startup methodology. So looking at the startup context and the tools that they use in there, and how can we integrate sustainability as early on in the business development process. What we found is that the leverage point we wanted to focus on was at the beginning of this process, where you use the business model canvas in order to design your business model and to map hypotheses and assumptions about how you think that your business will operate. So based on that, I wrote my thesis, and since then we've been developing Sustainable Start based on the initial results that were generated there. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong button. How is this? I'm sorry, everyone. I clicked the wrong button and now I have lost you. I'm still there?
Yeah.
Good. My apologies. Going on. So the most important thing that I learned there was basically to see things in a systems thinking perspective, which is what we're talking about mostly here. The crucial thing being nested interdependence between different systems. So understanding that we live within the biosphere of this one planet that we call Earth, then we are one global human society living within that planet. We all have needs that need to be continuously satisfied, both now and in the future. And businesses need to be strategic in order to be successful. Second question is then, what is a business model? A business model basically describes how you create and deliver value. So what is a sustainable business model? A sustainable business model describes how you will continue to create and deliver real value within a fast-changing context, like the one that we have today. The business model canvas was first put forward by Alexander Osterwalder, who did a PhD on the elements of a business model that were generally used within society during the time of his research. And one of the things that he stated that really struck me was saying that a business model really is a system where one element influences the other, and it only makes sense as a whole. So speaking of system, it really is about all the building blocks of a business model canvas, connecting together, interrelating, working together, and really about the relationships between them that make the business model unique and add value to both your business as well as society. So just to give you 1 minute introduction into the business model canvas, in the original style, how Alexander Osterwalder presented it, to then move into explaining how the Sustainable Start business model canvas connects to it and changes a few things. The business model canvas has value proposition in the middle. So that what you give as value to your customer, usually a product or service here in the middle. On the right-hand side, it shows you customer segments that you want to reach, that you want to sell your product to, and the key relationships in order to bridge towards your customer segments, the channels, both promotion as well as actual deliverable channels, etc., in order to reach them. Which on the right-hand side shows revenue streams being generated by offering your value to your customer segments. On the left-hand side, we've got key activities that you need to perform in order to create your product or service, and the key resources that we need in order to do our activities. On the left-hand side, you find key partners that will help you either in parts of your activities, either as providers of your resources, and all of that together creates your cost structure. Now, this is a basic business model canvas as it's being used according to the website of Strategizer by over 5 million people in the world in order to design and develop existing and new business models, in order to innovate our business models and to look at your business basically from different angles. What we decided to do was to, first of all, split up the value proposition into a triple value proposition, saying that the value that you create as a company or as any organization basically is not just to your customer segment. It's not just to the audience that you directly want to serve. It is, and we call it your human value proposition, but you also have a social value proposition as well as the ecological value proposition. No matter whether you consciously choose to have a positive social or environmental impact, in the case that you don't consciously choose to, then most probably you have a negative impact, which is then considered a negative value, right? So considering the triple bottom line kind of aspect and applying that to the triple value proposition, you might want to make progress on minimum 2 of those, with the third one remaining at least unaffected and therefore not being negative value creation. The fourth block that we add is strategic direction, because if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what your vision of success is, if you don't know what the big goals are that you want to reach with your business, then you don't know what you're designing for. So that's the next. To complement the human side, we said that in between your customer segments and your human value proposition, there's human needs that you need to satisfy. So that's an extra block that we added, and we called the customer segments target audience instead, because it's not always customers that you design for. Sometimes it's users, sometimes it's beneficiaries, sometimes it's whole systems that might be benefiting from your solution. On the social level, we then put relationships on the right-hand side of the social value proposition, connecting to channels all the way on the right in order to reach your target audience with the relationships that you want to establish with them and maintain with them, in order to also have make your social impact and your social value proposition not just through a product or service that you might be offering, but especially through the interactions, the relationships that you have both towards the right-hand side with your target audience, as well as towards the left-hand side, towards partners and other stakeholders that are part of the social systems that you're a part of. Connecting to the ecological value proposition on the left, we place the activities as well as resources, both leading into often large environmental impacts, and therefore needed to really have a look at how can you decrease the dependency of your activities on all sorts of levels. How can you decrease the dependency on oil, on mined minerals, on all sorts of things that you know are bad for the environment, but it's all throughout your value chain in the life cycle of your product if you start looking at that. At the bottom, we basically, sorry, one step back. Obviously, there's also the activities and the resources of your partners, which on sort of a second tier sustainability, you will want to include as well in your analysis, because starting off, you're obviously responsible for your own business, but no business can ever be sustainable in isolation. We're all part of a value chain. We're all part of life cycles that connect many different companies and therefore many different business models with each other. Therefore, taking responsibility over the final value that you deliver to humans, to society, and to the environment includes also taking responsibility for the activities and resources that you depend on delivered and supplied by your partners. To conclude, obviously, we have costs and revenues at the bottom, which from a sustainability point of view, we can also connect to different kinds of capitals besides just the financial capital that you might be requiring and generate. So what about the color coding? Just to be very brief, because I think you will have gotten that already. The yellow refers to humans and human need satisfaction. Yellow is social and social sustainability. Green, ecological sustainability, and blue for strategic and strategic direction. Now, benefit of focusing on the human level is that you will understand the real needs of your target audience and develop product and service solutions designed to satisfy these needs throughout changing time, culture, and context. On a social level, you grow social resilience, organizational agility, and you support healthy and trustworthy relationships with all the stakeholders throughout your entire value chain. On an ecological level, you create environmentally friendly, eco-regenerative, and circular solutions to eliminate harmful contributions and close the loop of your product service lifecycle. And being strategic means navigating your fast-changing context more strategically, more effectively, and more efficiently while increasing revenue and eliminating costs and risks. So the key systems thinking questions, overarching questions that we ask on these levels are: how might we understand the real needs of our customers and satisfy them throughout changing contexts? How might we grow social and organizational resilience and support trustworthy relationships with all our stakeholders? How might we create eco-regenerative and circular solutions and close the loop throughout our product service lifecycle? And how might we thrive in business by navigating complex 21st century challenges more strategically? Big question is then how to transform. How do we apply these perspectives to your business modeling? How do you go from an empty canvas towards a full canvas with the colors having them in perspective? And we basically take you through the systems thinking process, where we have come to call that the three-step sustainable start business model canvas methodology, which is to map, check, and innovate. In the map step, you basically identify everything that is relevant to the whole system of your business model or the existing business model or business model idea. In the second step, you analyze the sustainability and the unsustainability of each and all of the elements within the business model building blocks. And thirdly, innovate and build better hypotheses and assumptions about the sustainability of the different elements in your building blocks throughout your whole business model. What we basically use in order to guide you through these steps are, on the one hand, strategic trigger questions informed by the four systems thinking perspectives, as we've just explained. And on the other hand, a bunch of systems thinking templates that we've created in order to make it easier to focus your attention with the right question on the right part of your business model that we're looking at. If you're interested in learning more on these templates, on each of the steps, then the upcoming webinar series, as well as the upcoming workshop at the 7th of December, will actually look deeper into the content of each of the steps, look further into the templates, and during the workshop actually start using and applying them also to your business. Just to conclude, again, an overview of what you've just heard. 4 systems thinking perspectives applied in 3 steps to create your sustainable business model. This slide is a little bit larger, and I want to show you an overview of what happens if we combine the 3 steps and all the 4 systems thinking perspectives, making the sustainable start methodology into a 12-step methodology. So we've got the process of map, check, and innovate with 4 layers of perspectives: humans, social, eco, and strategy. We can basically follow the methodology in both ways, going either horizontal or vertical, depending on what you're most interested in or what your biggest need is at the moment. Step 1.1 focuses on which universal human needs you satisfy or want to satisfy. Secondly, you map your social system and all the social system actors that are part of it. You map the ecological input and output that you depend on and that you generate with your business model. And you determine the strategic direction that you want to be going to. Secondly, in the check step, on the human level, you check the type of satisfiers that you are offering to your users, your beneficiaries, and your customers. On the social level, you check whether you're breaching any of the social sustainability principles. On the ecological level, the ecological sustainability principles. And on the strategic level, you want to make sure that you focus on those things where you have the biggest impact and that are most important to you achieving the strategic objectives that you've set in the previous strategy step. The innovation part, on the human level, we focus on creating more synergic satisfaction between your product and service and the underlying human needs of your target audience. On the social level, we focus on creating more social resilience, both within your organization, as well as the value chain that you make part of, as well as the channels that you use. All the social systems can benefit from the questions that we use there in step 3.2. On the ecological level, it's about focusing on ecological regeneration. So first of all, stopping any negative impacts, but then moving towards a net positive impact, preferably, and being able to contribute to net regeneration of ecosystems. Finally, we have a step around strategic prioritization, because you want to make sure that what you then, from all the ideas that you've generated in the innovation step, take forward those things that are actually aligned with the strategic direction of your business and that are most important for you to keep focusing on and take forward. just very quickly going through the primary questions that each of these steps holds. So whose needs do you aim to satisfy? With who do you relate and connect? Where does your input come from and where does your output go to? What's your vision? How much capital do you need? Which type of satisfaction do you offer? How do you relate with other social actors? Do you cause an increase in any concentrations of substances that don't belong in nature? Does it move you towards realizing your important strategic goals? How might we improve satisfaction? How to improve adaptivity and resilience? How to improve circularity in the whole life cycle of your product or service? And how to improve decision-making process. So that's the whole. If you want to learn more, basically we're hosting 4 more webinars, each of them focusing on one of the systems thinking perspectives. So as you see, yellow is human, so social is the orange one, green ecological, and finally we're closing with strategic. You can see the whole agenda of events at sustainablestart.net/events. And on the 7th of December, we're organizing a complete one-day workshop live here in Amsterdam to really apply the sustainability thinking, the Sustainable Start methodology, and several of the templates, a whole bunch of the trigger questions that we have within the methodology. Apply them to your business. We've got about, I think, 4 or 5 spots for businesses to actually be at the center of attention during the workshop, and place for a maximum of 20 people, I think. So I'm pretty sure it's going to fill up pretty quickly, and it would be great to see you there as well. Now, this order is not entirely correct. We're also really still in the testing phase of the Sustainable Start methodology as such. So it would be really great to more fully apply it with some companies that think that they could benefit from that. We're basically offering 3 types of in-house events: Ignite, Catalyze, and Transform, where Ignite is a half a day to maybe 1 day workshop, where it's about grasping a systems thinking mindset and applying a few of the questions to your business model canvas, but really just leaving the room eager to start picking your low-hanging fruits and enjoying some of the early benefits of sustainability. Catalyze workshop, we go deeper and really start applying many of the trigger questions, many of the templates. And in the Transform program, it's really a tailor-made program, you could say, where together with you, we see what is most effective in getting your organization to become more sustainable, either using the Sustainable Start methodology, but also a variety of other approaches that we have. That's basically it. If you have any questions or reflections, I'd really love to hear from you, and this is the moment. Let's see if we can get it all sorted technically to see the raise of hands. And let's see, I'm going to start my video again. Come back to all of you. I see here that at least we have another message from Anka, located in Amsterdam, currently not working, looking for a job in circular business, environment, or social change. Really good. Previously worked as a project manager at Heineken, here to learn more about developing a sustainable business. I really hope that that was successful in that sense, learning about how to develop a sustainable business, it being sort of at the core of the webinar. Is there anyone that would like to share anything? If not, then we're going to finish the webinar early. Yes, I'm seeing here, which is probably not a name, but the name of a computer. I'm seeing it like this, but there's a question being typed. If it's easier, you can also open your microphone and speak with us. Louis, thank you. Also looking forward to part number 2. So the question from Huawei is this business model designed for entrepreneurs or to transform a business? And just to speak on that for a moment, it's basically for both. Depending on where you are now, you will most probably already have an idea, at least, about what you want to be creating as a business. It all starts with an idea, and around that we can start applying the Sustainable Start methodology on mapping your idea, on analyzing that idea, and then on continuously innovating that idea. Similarly, if you have an existing business, the mapping is in a sense more concrete. It's about really seeing what is at this moment, analyzing what is at this moment, and then starting to innovate from that in order to improve. Carla, did that make sense? Did that answer your question?
Yes. Sorry, I am new in this app, so I didn't know if people is listening. Yeah, it pops out a question of why the last step is the strategic direction if you are actually thinking of where do you want to go, like why first you tackle what you have in your hands and then the strategic part.
This is very true. Like as I showed in one of the slides as well, the movement from going horizontal or vertical through the methodology, you can basically start with mapping first the vision that you want to go to and leading from that towards the value proposition that might connect to it. And the whole process in itself is very iterative as well. Does that make sense?
Thanks. Yes.
Great, thank you very much. I'm seeing Rolf has his microphone open.
I do, and I'm on video.
You're on video. Good to see your face too.
So yeah, basically, I mean, I've heard about the business model canvas, but it's not something that I've looked into that much. But would you say that the difference between the sustainable start methodology and the business model canvas is the sustainability aspect, or was the sustainability aspect from the start and you just kind of built on it?
No, like initially the business model canvas was not designed with sustainability in mind at all. Basically what Alexander Oosterwalder did was look at the current, what you would call business as usual, status quo of how business has been designing their business models for the past 20, 30 years, right? So he looked at what is, not at what needs to be. So that is step one. Secondly, so yes, point one, we're adding sustainability thinking, sustainability principles, and we're doing that in a way that makes sense to relate these systems thinking perspectives to specific parts of the business model canvas. We've adjusted the business model canvas slightly to fit our purpose, but what it really does, and what I think is very valuable really about the methodology piece, is that there's a methodology, because the business model canvas as it offers trigger questions, and there's a whole bunch of trigger questions that you'll be able to find in order to spark innovation. Say, what if Obama walks into the door, how would he change your business model? But no questions are there around what is the sustainability impact of your business model. There's no guidance, no process that will help you to systematically first see what am I dealing with, map, how sustainable is it, check, and then move from there, go through the needle of what is sustainability, and then start innovating, which I think saves a lot of time actually creating hypotheses and assumptions that are not based on contextual awareness of how your business should perform in the 21st century. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for your question. I see a last message from Louis. All the best. Says that it looks very interesting. Thank you very much, everyone. if there's no one else opening their mics, asking questions, then we're going to round it off with this. And then I really hope to see, sorry for the distraction. There's someone saying that I should still say something. Looking forward to see you next time. I'll make sure to send all of you a sign-up link for the next webinar as well. And I'm going to make this video available as well for replay, also for those people that signed up but didn't make it to the actual moment now. Unfortunately, I'm not able to make the slides available as well. So if you want to review any of the things that were said, please go and watch the video. Thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing you soon. Ciao.